Yeah, we bring reviews of your house, talk to our dudes of your house. I bring my views of your house, wrestling truths of your house. We talk to you in your house, we keeps it cool with your house, we keeps it cool with your house. I'm spitting truths in your house.
Yes, Mark's hating on his fans, Becky Nish on the man. Play with two like a lions, household a dangerous alliance. I am a diamond like Cody, and I'm overcoming like Kobe. No, they cannot hold me, come listen, I'm hosting, critiquing, I'm boasting, this wrestling I'm knowing.
It's all about podcasts these days.
This is Leo Rush, the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, and you are listening to the In Your House podcast.
This is Austin Theory of Evolve, and you're listening to the In Your House podcast.
This is AEW's Darby Allin, and you're listening to In Your House podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In Your House, starring Alakan House. This is the People's Podcast. Hey guys, you already know who it is. It's your boy Con, ready to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. That is what we do, and hey, we love it. So let me let you guys know where you guys can listen to this at. You guys can listen to this at Apple Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Hey, you don't have an Apple device? That's alright. We're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, we can get to you. And ooh, where is the clock? I'm checking the time because last time that I checked, In Your House was the hottest professional wrestling podcast in the Midwest, cause we hit them with that wargity round the clock. You guys already know what it is. Oh yes, the director is in the house on a wonderful Friday morning. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I hope you guys are thoroughly enjoying it, and hopefully that you're not alone. But if you are, put In Your House in your ears as you're driving the kids to school, or maybe you're just driving to work. We are here to give you that work. And guys, this is our 170th episode of In Your House. And guys, I'm really excited. Got a lot of cool stuff in the works. I've got a couple of commentary gigs coming up in the next couple of weeks. So excited. It's just been the momentum of In Your House. We've been here for 1 year, guys. 1 year of In Your House. And I had to do something special. I mean, I had to give you guys something. And you know, guys, your boy outdid himself. I really did. You know what, Con? Thank you. I want you all to just take a second and thank me, okay? Thank me. All right, I'm going to give you a second. Okay, there you go. You're welcome. But guys, we've had all sorts of different guests on this show. Referees, managers, of course, in-ring talent, promoters, everything that you guys can possibly think of. But we threw a little, we threw you guys a little curveball today. And myself, before I got into the wrestling business, I was deep into the hip-hop scene, music production, lyrics. Got a couple mixtapes, albums that I've dropped and things of that nature. So I was really excited to get this next guest. And guys, have you ever wondered where some of your favorite all-elite wrestling themes come from? I know I have. So I was able to make a little magic happen and get on the great AEW music producer. That is Mikey Rukus. How are you doing, bro?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Doing great, man. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to give a few minutes to In Your House, bro.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, great to have you, man. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. So you're the AEW music producer, which is amazing. I mean, that's just nuts to know that you're working with some of the great talent with All Elite Wrestling, man. The hottest promotion in what seems to be the world right now. I know everybody's checking it out, and it's been going great. But before we get into that, man, let me ask you this. You're a music producer. How did that start for you? Because personally, I'm interested, coming from a musical background myself.
Well, it started about 10 years ago. I want to say mid 2010, out of necessity for survival and to supplement my income at the time. I just decided that I was going to do custom music. I had tried doing the independent hip hop scene for a little bit, and I had done a couple of live bands and stuff like that, and that was fine. But I never wanted to go the route of kind of just putting together a record and being pigeonholed into a specific genre. I was interested in everything. I wanted to try everything. So I started in the mixed martial arts arena in that industry in 2010 and just decided I'm going to make entrance in MMA. They call it walkout music. So I'm going to make custom walkout music for fighters. Started small, worked with regional promotions, worked with a couple of local promotions, and it just started to kind of snowball from there. And next thing I know, in about a year after that, my music was being played in the UFC. And then things just kind of started to rebound. And I got into a position of full-on networking at that point. So whenever I finished working with one client, I would, I would work with, I would ask them if they knew of anybody that needed help or needed work in that field. And I soon became to realize that there was a need there. And I had always wanted to do professional wrestling music, but at the time I wasn't really engaged with the product. I was so deep into mixed martial arts as a sport that that's where I wanted to be. And I knew eventually somewhere down the line I would end up in the professional wrestling industry, and that ended up being about 3 years ago. I want to say like late 2016, I made that transition just because I saw there was a boom that was happening in independent wrestling. The talent was taking their brands into their own hands and really pushing themselves across social media. And it was almost like a rebirth of territories where you had these figures and these talents and these attractions. They had built themselves up to be attractions that could travel from one place to the next to the next. Yeah. And there were so many of them, and there was so much talent, and there was so much raw energy there. I decided to jump in, and I didn't realize how much of a need there was in professional wrestling for the custom music on the independent side, because everything exploded. And in between the years of late 2016 to early 2019, I ended up creating over 200 entrance themes for wrestlers in the U.S. and the U.K. And shortly after that, that's how AEW came along.
Oh, man, that is amazing, man. What a great story. So in that story, I noticed you said you were doing some indie hip-hop. I did a little bit of that, too. Do you spit it all, man? Like, do you just produce, or were you actually, like, putting some lyrics down?
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything. So I'm a live performer, and I did some ghostwriting. I mean, and I never try to create something that is trendy. I never tried to do what I saw, what was happening in the music scene or on MTV at the time or Fuse or whatever it was. I just tried to do what felt good to me. I grew up on hair metal and old school hip hop, like Run DMC and Beastie Boys. I'm an old school cat. So, and then of course Wu-Tang Clan and Busta Rhymes is my all-time favorite. So that old school style, that old school feel is always what I've been about, but I'm a metalhead also. So I was kind of doing that thing on a very, very minuscule scale before the new metal scene kind of exploded. And it was just always what I was about. It was, not necessarily singing, but, you kind of yelling key and not necessarily being super lyrical, but, finding the groove and finding the pocket and really just expressing yourself. So then that's what it was all about. I didn't try to do anything that was trendy. I just tried to do something that felt good to me.
Absolutely, man. See, that's kind of where I was at with it, because for me, I was big on like the knowledge kickers, the people that put out that type of knowledge, like the, you know, KRS Ones, the Commons. You know, I listened to a lot of Jay-Z, the Tupacs, you know, them. That's where I kind of pulled from. So I never really jumped into the whole, you know, what was the wave that was going on at the time. I just rode my own wave. But moving right along, man. So now you're at AEW doing the music. You've done music for guys such as Pac, guys like the Best Friends, man. And when you decided to jump into the wrestling industry, let me ask you this: if you can kind of release whatever you can tell us, how did the AEW connection come to be?
Well, the first I had heard of it, and I was working. I had been working full time as a retail manager at a store that I was working at the time, and I had been in retail for like the last 20 years. So when I started this music thing, I was already running. I was running a large big box retail setting. Had 100 employees that reported to me, and I continued to kind of work outside of that. 5 years ago, I transitioned to a smaller box retail setting, had about 30 employees. So I was working 50, 60 hours a week, and then just created a workflow where I would work 10, 12 hours during the day in my store and then come home and work in my office 4 to 6 hours a night. So the 17-hour days were pretty much the norm for me for 3 years, 3.5 years. And then going into December of 2018, I was really starting to kind of wear down, and I asked myself, like, is this all this is going to be? Because I don't know if I can do this too much longer.
Yeah.
And I follow Dustin Rhodes on Twitter. I was following him at the time, and I remember a tweet that he had put out in January. It just said, "I can't tell you how proud I am of my brother and his accomplishments." Yeah. I was like, well, this is interesting. What's happening? Then I looked and I noticed that they had made the announcement for AEW, and I said, well, maybe this is my chance. And it's a weird thing to say, because even though I said to myself, maybe this is my chance, the other side of me was saying, this gig is mine. Like, this is mine. Yeah. There's no other way that this is going to go down. So I tried to do some networking. I had gotten really good at networking, but it was really, really hard to try to get in touch with Cody and Brandy personally. It's really, they're like ninjas. And I've said that. They were like ninjas. It was really tough to get in touch with them. But eventually, I had somebody text me and said, look, text this guy. He knows something. He knows them, and, you know. So I sent him a message, and then I get a message from QT Marshall. The conversation started there. Yeah. And pretty soon after that, I didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks, and I thought, well, maybe this is just going to kind of die by the wayside. But at the same time, I'm a very emotional guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm me. You know what I mean? Yep. So it got to a point where I was like, at no point have I ever sat quietly and just waited. Like, you have to go and you have to try to get your spot. You have to make yourself visible and borderline without being like a troll or spamming or anything like that. I started putting out there, like, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And I put it out there publicly. I said, I'm the guy for this job. And I really don't care what anybody else says. I believe in myself for this spot. And I had messaged a few people that I had worked with along the way. And I said, look, if you know anything, please let me know. This is what I'm trying to go for. Next thing I know, I had people that I had worked with over the years just start coming out of the woodwork and really pitching me to Cody and Brandy on social media, and they lifted me up in that aspect, to the point to where when Brandy finally messaged me, she said, "Hey, let's set up a conference call." So I got on a call with her and a couple of other people, and she said, one of the things that stood out to us, people have contacted us from all over the world about doing music for AEW, and the one thing that really stood out is your people that you've worked with went to bat for you. She says, and that really means something, you know, and I've said this before, anybody can pad a resume, anybody can kill an interview and do a great job and make themselves look great. But when you have taken care of people in the past and they come back around and they take care of you, or, you know, it's kind of like, and there were some people I hadn't spoken to in years. Yeah. And they all they pushed me up and catapulted me up to that level. And I was humbled, and at the same time I was excited, because I knew, like, this is going to happen. And there was a little bit of time there where I didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden I get a call that says, well, let's do one song. Let's try one. And then it was, well, we're going to need 5. And this is just prior to Double or Nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they said, well, how much would you charge for 20? And I said, well, I can do 20 songs, or I can just be here forever.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing, I didn't, it was a little bit more of a detailed discussion at that point.
Sure.
And then I got the call from Chris Harrington, and he said, we'd like to bring you on board. And actually, before I got that call, I got an email from Brandy that says, we'd like to make you part of the team as being official. And I didn't want to ask. It was kind of like that Step Brothers moment when they're asking if they can turn their beds into bunk beds. And I was like, so am I really part of? And they were going to make me part of the team. So I got the call from Chris Harrington, and we had a deeper discussion. And May 1st of 2019, I joined All Elite Wrestling, and it has been fast forward from there. I mean, like lightning speed in terms of the content coming through and the work that we do. It's a completely different level from anything I had ever experienced before. So, and I absolutely love it because they challenge you to be the best you've ever been every single day.
That is an awesome story, man. To hear your story, because it sounds like your perseverance, man, your dedication, and just your drive to be great. I'm in the middle of that journey right now, bro. Like I'm pushing forward. I've been doing this podcast thing for the last year, and the trajectory that I've seen has been absolutely amazing. So who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to tell that story like you're telling. But right now with you, man, it's just great, man, because for you to put out the music that you're putting out the hottest professional wrestling company in the world right now. I mean, everybody's talking about AEW. I mean, the fact that it's here now, I never thought we'd even have a second promotion ever, and here we are, man, which is great. So, guys, real quick, we have to take a little pause for the cause. We have to talk about our sponsors real quick, and when we come back, we'll have a few more minutes left with Mikey Rukus. Hey guys, this is the director, Con House, of In Your House, and this episode is sponsored by Podcorn. Podcorn is a marketplace connecting podcasters to amazing podcast sponsorship opportunities such as host read ads, interview segments, topical discussions, and more. With Podcorn, there is no middleman. Podcasters of all sizes can browse and choose opportunities right on the platform, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without any exclusivities. You never give up any rights to your podcast, and Podcorn is here to support you at every step to ensure you're protected and compensated for the work that you do for brands. The marketplace mission is to give podcasters transparency, creative control, and freedom, and full control of how and when they monetize. So check the show notes on this episode and you will see a link to www.podcorn.com/podcasters. But now it's time to get back to In Your House. Welcome back, guys, to In Your House, hosted by the director, Con House, and we're sitting with the AEW music producer, Mikey Rukus, having a great conversation for you guys, the household in the 14 different countries all across these great United States and locally right here in Indiana. So let me ask you this, man. I only got a couple more questions for you. I know you got a very, very busy day ahead of you, and we at In Your House respect that. So now that you're out the AEW gig, doing that, and I'm sure it's just been crazy. Like you said, May 1st it was, and you came on, and now it's just been go. What's it like interacting with all the talent and all the big names of professional wrestling in 2020? What's it like interacting with those people on doggone near a regular basis, bro?
It was a little bit of a shock at first because, what I tell people is I'm not from the professional wrestling industry.
Yeah.
And so I only know the industry from a fan perspective because I've always been a fan. I've been a fan first. So, the first time I met I haven't met everybody yet, but I've met most of the staff there at All Elite Wrestling. My first time was Fight for the Fallen in July. I went down to Jacksonville. I walk into a room and Cody and the Bucks and Tony and Kenny and everybody's there, and Billy Gunn is there, and Dean Malenko and Jim Ross, and I'm sitting at the back because I'm number one, I'm stunned.
Yeah.
And number two, I'm like, how the hell did I get here? Like, yeah, and it was kind of like that moment. And everybody was super gracious, and everybody was introducing themselves. And I see Dean Malenko in front of me, and I don't think I've told the story publicly. But it's Dean Malenko. And Dean Malenko was one of my absolute all-time favorite wrestlers when I was coming up. And a few years ago, I had written an entrance theme for Zack Sabre Jr. For Revolution Pro. And I name-dropped Dean in that song. And I, because Zack Sabre Jr. is known as the technical wizard. So with him being the technical wizard and Dean Malenko being the man of 1,000 holds, I had to say something. And seeing him there, I was like, you know what? I bet nobody's ever done that. So I'm going to go tell him that I name-dropped him in a song that I wrote for Zack Sabre Jr. So I went over him, I shook his hand, and I said, I just wanted to let you know that I name-dropped you, and I drew a complete blank. Whole thing, everything that I had planned to say left. And I've never had this happen to me in my entire life. And I'm standing there, he's just kind of looking at me, and I was like, and I couldn't remember the guy's name. And I'm telling myself, like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Why is it getting so hot in here all of a sudden? Like, why am I sweating all of a sudden? So I finally said, I can't remember and I looked at it, I said, I have no idea why I'm forgetting everything, but I name dropped you in a song that I wrote for somebody else. And he was like, oh, I had to buy you lunch. And now, and it was, and I walked away like I just made a complete fool out of myself. And I had no idea how to recover. And I saw him a few weeks later, and I shook his hand, and I just kind of left it at that. But it was, that was the moment where I just said, what in the world just happened?
Yeah.
And it was a fan moment. And, at the end of the day, not only, and I see it from a different perspective now, because anytime I would see a great match, I would just be happy to see that match. It was entertaining. And now that I know this team, every time they climb the ropes, I get stressed out. It's just a different thing. Like, I'm really proud to see them perform. I'm really proud to see them do well. And I really don't want to see anybody get hurt. It's just a completely different thing now. And it's like, they stress me out like my kids. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Just, learning some of these people and getting to know them and becoming friends with them on a one-on-one basis. And a lot of it is still just work, because I'm not traveling every single week, but just getting to know who they are as people and understanding, we're all one team, and we're all doing this together, and they are creating something it's magical, and I'm humbled and honored just to be a part of it.
Oh man, absolutely. And that's the thing. You're a part of something huge, and nobody can ever take that away from you, bro. You're part of a brand that just went out and got it on their own, and is paving a completely different path than anybody else, and it's great, man. I can imagine sitting up there, talking to Dean, Dean Malenko, man. That's the Iceman, man. I was watching him go up against Chris Jericho in the WCW Cruiserweight division, man. So that was crazy. And I'd probably have the same moment, because I've met Cody and the Bucks a couple of times, but the one time I got a chance to actually like do something with Cody is he was at the 2017 World of the World for Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he came over to me and I got to kiss the Ring of Honor, and that was pretty awesome. That was pretty dope, man. But all right, man. Last question here, that I'm gonna let you get on out of here. I know you got a real busy morning. So now, man, you're here. You're pretty much doing everything that you said that you were going to do. You spoke it into existence. You put it into the universe, which is great. That's what you got to do. What, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done for you, Mikey, and you're able to call this a great career, which you're already paving that way right now, what do you want to be remembered for, man? What do you want people to remember Mikey Rukus for?
I'm in a sketchy part of town, so like my reception's kind of.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, we're all just trying to make our own way. And if there's anything I hope to be remembered by, just telling the stories that have been presented. And that at the end, there's so many aspects that go into what, not only just what I do, but what AEW does as a whole.
Yeah. That
story of All Elite Wrestling means more than anything right now with this company. They're trailblazing. It's something that you may never ever see again. And to be a part of that is what, it is a dream for me to be in this realm. But again, at the end of the day, I just want to be remembered for telling great stories. And whether that would be musically, whether that would be on camera, whether that would be on stage, whether that would be one-on-one, telling great stories and giving people hope, giving people a chance to say, hey, he did it, I can do it too. And that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Man, that is so awesome. It sounds like you're just riding your own path, pushing forward, and you're inspiration for guys like me, other, guys that just get it from the very bottom, man, doing it makeshift, you know what I mean? Just straight grassroots movement and seeing what you started out the trunk come to fruition and just really, so man, it's awesome. It's cool. I was so pleased and honored to get the opportunity to talk to you, man. And the way that we like to give back here at In Your House, man, is this. It is your time, Mikey, to plug anything that you want to plug, any upcoming appearances, your social medias, anything like that, man. It is your time, Mikey Rukus. Go ahead and plug it.
It's a very special day, February 14th, Valentine's Day. We have tickets going on sale for 3 different dates, AEWTix.com, May the 23rd in Las Vegas for Double or Nothing, April the 15th, Boston for Dynamite, April 22nd, Philadelphia for Dynamite.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule, man. It's truly, truly appreciated. I hope this isn't the last time that we talk, but if it is, man, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's truly, truly appreciated.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem at all. Guys, that was the AEW music producer, Mikey Rukus. Guys, this made for such a great episode here on this Valentine's Day. And it don't matter what day it is because we're going to get y'all that work. So let you guys know who you guys can listen to this at. You guys can listen to this at Apple Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Hey, you don't have an Apple device? That's all right. We're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, we can get to you. Hey, yo, check out your boy, the DDIT. That is the Dynamic Duo Invitational Tag Tournament for Upstart Pro. Your boy, the director, is making his commentary debut in Indianapolis. Moving right along to March 7th. You know what it is. It's Steel City Madness at New Wave Pro, and the director will be in the house. Guys, what are you doing? Buy a freaking shirt. That's www.prowrestlingtees.com/inyourhouse. Get this work. Get this shirt. And guys, we tell you this all the time. Hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone. Because the household, well, we still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.